Let's invert ourselves.
Oh my god.
Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. We are CineChix. I'm Jen.
And I'm Christina. And today we'll be talking about Tenet, or attempting to talk about Tenet, because to be honest, I still don't know what I watched.
I have a lot of questions, but I at the same time freaking loved it. I loved every second of being confused. I loved every second of like going deaf from the soundtrack. It was so loud in there.
Yeah, it was pretty loud, and I wasn't sure if it was loud because we just haven't been to the movie theater.
That's what
in
I
like
thought
6
too.
months, so I was like, maybe this was
is it
always this loud, and I forgot. But like literally, the chairs were shaking so much, I got a mini massage with my movie.
I felt like we were in like one of those 4D movies where they like the chairs move and they like spray things at you. Nothing was sprayed at me. So this movie was made for IMAX. That's why the sound was so loud, apparently. I feel like that music, the soundtrack, was freaking amazing. And I feel like the music had to be that loud so you actually feel it in your bones. Like, I really enjoyed that. And I feel like it's a soundtrack that, like, I'm gonna be disappointed when I listen to it again and my body's not shaking.
The same composer who did this movie did Black Panther.
Did Creed.
And he did Creed?
Yep. And Mandalorian, which is why Mandalorian sounds like Creed. But do you know who was supposed to do this movie?
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer. Yeah, Hans Zimmer was supposed to do it, but Hans Zimmer was working on Dune.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We did talk about that.
And then also fun fact about this movie, Nolan just didn't get his normal people for this movie because he did not get his normal editor either, which is why this may feel a little bit odd. The editor that he usually uses was working on 1917, which needed a lot more editing skills. This is one of those movies that I know we talked about this in Antebellum of like watch it again because you'll catch things. This is one of those movies that I want to watch again immediately. Like I cannot wait until this movie is like on streaming because I want to catch more things because I already like at the end and I'm realizing things and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why that happened. I get it now. Like Inception, like there's a lot of things that you don't understand until the end.
Yeah, and I feel like everybody who watches it catches different things. So like we saw it separately, but I saw it with our other friend Molly. She pointed out things that I didn't even catch. And same thing with you. You pointed out things that I didn't catch. And I'm like, oh, okay. I feel like watching it a second time probably would definitely help because everybody pays attention to different things. You know, I don't think they purposely make it complex so that you like have to watch it a million times.
But Nolan does like to make you think.
I think my generation of filmmakers understood really there's a responsibility to try and make something that has layers, something that has more to it the second time you see it.
Inception took 20 years for him to flesh out, so he really knew what was going on in that movie. So this one only took a few years, so I wonder if like maybe he's still confused about like how some of the stuff works and he's just kind of like, nah, it'll be good.
In the beginning, the Dr. Lady person was just like, basically don't ask too many questions because like, and that's basically what I held on to for the rest of the movie.
Danger. So first of all, when did the freaking opera take place? Because I'm super confused because they talk about it at the end. Robert Pattinson was also there. He was the one with the little red tag.
Yeah.
Again, spoiler alert, guys. When does he die? Because he went back to save them and he saw him dead on the thing, but there was still a Robert Pattinson helping him. And I'm like, okay, so how many of you are there? How many of you are going back and forth? And when do you freaking die? Is this really the last time that you're going to see him? And he's like, you know, we had a really long friendship and like, you're like my best friend, buddy. Side note, here's a big fan theory for you.
Okay.
Robert Pattinson's name is Neil.
Yes.
The little boy, Max, his name is Maximilian. Take the last 4 letters of his name, invert it, that's Neil. Robert Pattinson is the lady's son, is the bad guy's son, is the little boy from the whole movie. And that's why he's like, we met in your future, but my past, because he never did meet the son in this whole movie. He just met the mom. I mean, this is just a fan theory, but it makes sense.
It does. I mean, in this crazy movie, it does make sense. But my only thing about that theory is that he kind of made it seem like, why are you going through all this trouble to save this woman?
Right, and I think he kind of wanted to know.
Oh.
He wanted to know, like, why do you care about my mom? Like, you just met her. Like, why is she important to you? So, like, Robert Pattinson was always going back to, like, help her. I think he was trying to ask the protagonist why he cared. Which, I mean, of course, we, as the audience, was also asking, like, you just met this lady. Why do you care so much?
Yeah,
and I was wondering, did he actually care for her? Or was she the only way to get to the husband, which the husband was the important
I feel
thing?
like at first, maybe, but then, like, once he was just super sympathetic, because it felt like once he found out her story, that's when he started caring a little bit too much for someone he just met.
Yeah.
I think that it was just, he was super sympathetic to the fact that she was trapped in that marriage.
Also, they were talking about, like, the grandfather paradox. So is that why at the end Neil had to go back because he needed to finish that paradox? But then where did, like, I don't know. There's so many things that I'm like, I have questions, but, like, there's no answers, and I just have to be okay with it.
Despite the confusion, though, I did really like. I
loved it.
Enjoyed a movie so much that I didn't understand. Usually, you're just like,
so much in this movie to, like, unpack.
was there a reason why he was called the protagonist? Like a
Because
special
he's
reason?
well, no, just because he's the one, like, moving the story along.
Like, was there a creative decision? Oh, okay.
I said it was because he was the one that was moving the story along, because that's what the protagonist does, right?
Yes.
Cool. I loved that whenever he met the protagonist and he was like, he'll have a Diet Coke. And he's like, no, I like seltzer water better. And he's like, no, you don't. And I was like, they know each other somehow. I knew it, but I didn't know how. And I love the fact, like, at the end, I literally had that moment where we're in the car. And I'm like, that's why he knew he liked Diet Coke.
I think the bottom line of the movie is that the protagonist and Neil are the bestest friends ever.
They're the best friends.
And, like, I felt like when he found out that they were, like, because he doesn't have a concept of their relationship yet.
No.
But he was, like, bawling. Not bawling, but, like, he showed way more emotion for someone who literally just met this man.
Well, I mean, how long did this take place? Was this just a few weeks? Was this a few months?
I mean,
how
but
long
he
was
wouldn't be
this?
This was a long time.
Because
How
remember,
long
It was like
What do you
6
mean?
months.
because
Oh,
also
I wouldn't be crying over nothing like that, though.
Well, I think it's because he realized how deep their connection was, so deep that he was willing to die for him.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was even more emotional for him to
did
realize,
save
like,
him on
okay, so we're
multiple
friends.
occasions.
He saved him at the opera. He saved him in that thing, which
In the hole.
hole, and he was always there
And
when
saved
he
him
needed
in the painting room.
Yeah,
Because
he was about to
stopped
shoot
him
himself
from killing himself. It made me want to have Robert Pattinson as a best friend.
yeah. Hey, Robert Pattinson, you want to be our friend? We're pretty cool.
Or, more.
When we see him get enlisted for Tenet, isn't really when he got enlisted, because he got enlisted
After he passed whatever test that was
like,
or something.
right, which why did they even do that? Why did he get all of his teeth ripped out? Like, I don't know. But then he's the one that enlisted himself because he did it in the future past. And when is the freaking future past? Because when you are inverted and you're going backwards, right? And the boats are going backwards, it looks really cool, but like they went backwards like a week to get to that freaking airport. So like, is time going back for them? Are they getting older? Are they getting younger? And like, if he went backwards later in his future, he went backwards to meet young Neil, Max, Robert Pattinson, whatever. How long did he actually have to go back? 20 years? How do you go backwards that much? Do you have to, because they went backwards a week, actually took a week to go backwards. So like, how long does it take you to go backwards in inverted time? Let's talk a little bit about what the frick even is inversion. Like, so like, you have to feel like you're dropping the bullet for it to drop, right? But then like, were those things, did they go through like that inversion machine?
I just assumed that the reason why they behave that way is because they were taken through the machine. That's the only thing that made sense to me, because if going through that machine inverts people, I just figured if you brought anything with you, that would then invert it too.
Where the frick did that machine even come from? Because the lady that like created this algorithm thing to whatever, because the whole point of this was like the bad guy who was Gilderoy Lockhart from freaking Harry Potter blew my mind, blew her mind, did not realize that was him, because every time he's in a freaking movie, he looked totally different. Steven was like, how did you not know it was him? And I'm like, because first of all, he was like a little bit tubbier, he had a beard, and a Russian accent.
And I'm pretty sure his hair was like reddish.
So good job on you, dude.
Properly.
Did not know that was you. So he somehow found out about all of these things, and there's 9 pieces spread out around the world and the past that he needed to find in order to put together to end the world.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure why he wanted to end the world. I felt
No,
like...
he wanted to end the world because if he couldn't have the world, no one could. Just like if he couldn't have his wife, no one could. He was dying from cancer.
he was dying, and he was like, well, F everybody.
So this lady invented this algorithm thing. She was like, oh, shoot, this is, like, super bad. I don't think that we should have this, so I'm gonna go in the past, hide it all over the place. The dude that, like, got the thing, and then he, like, pulled the gun on them, and he was like, okay, well, now you have to, like, kill yourselves. I don't ever want to see you again. And I'm like, we can never run into each other again because, like, we can never know where the pieces are.
If somebody were to go looking for the pieces, if they're still living, they could give up the pieces.
Right, but we know that they didn't.
I feel like they would never do that to begin with. I feel like that's the whole reason why they let the protagonist into Tenet, because he was tortured.
But he was the one that started Tenet, apparently, or like whatever. I don't know. I'm confused.
I know.
I'm so confused. But I liked it.
I feel like that was probably kind of like how she didn't want her knowledge to...
Yeah.
And so she killed herself, and then they were just like, look, like... you can kill yourself or you can live a long life and then die, whatever, but like we can't see each other, and if I see you, I'm gonna kill you.
Right.
Because I don't know why he had to go that far. Like, if you're gonna kill us,
kill
us
also
now.
they were like best friends, so like whatever. I didn't realize this until like after that husband that she went back onto the boat to like talk to her husband. That wasn't the husband from that timeline. That was the husband from her timeline that like shot her with the inverted bullet, and he went back there because that was like the last moment that like they had that was happy, and so like that's where he wanted to be, I guess, whenever he like killed himself.
Well, I was stressed out when she had the bathing suit on. I was like, oh, he gonna...
I know. I was like, he's gonna see that.
He's gonna see
and
that.
And she just
scar.
like showed him anyways. I was like, okay, whatever.
Oh well, at the end,
yeah,
when she
I was
almost
so worried,
messed up the plan by shooting him too early, and then had the nerve to call me like, it basically like,
sorry,
y'all did it, y'all do it. Oh, okay, but I killed him before I was supposed to, anyways. But thank goodness that you guys did what you need to do. Like, really,
there is so much to unpack in this movie. I'm so confused.
And it sounds, the way we're talking about it, not even the way we're talking about it, but it sounds like negative, but it's not.
No, it's not. I loved it.
I've never been more happy
to be confused.
Exactly, to be confused in my life. But these are a lot of questions that you'll have coming out of the movie. And, you know, to a certain extent, you gotta be okay with not getting those answers.
Yeah. I'm very excited to see it again. I'm very interested in hearing other people's fan theories. I'm very interested in like learning more about what the frick even like the inversion really was. Why sometimes they needed to wear the mask. Why sometimes they didn't need to wear the mask. Like, but it was so good.
It was really good.
This is one of those movies that like you really do want to see this in a theater.
So bottom line is, if you have the opportunity to see it in your area, safely please wear a mask.
So remember to like, share, comment, subscribe.
Yeah.